Hello. Let me tell you that I'm really excited and also really frightened to be here in front of you. I do my best. So, oh, problem. Oh, it's already a problem. We'll fix it. We'll switch back to OpenOffice. Great, yeah. Oh, okay. They were fast. Okay, there we go. So, I present you the agenda. First, I will make some presentation and then go through some history figures. I will have a specific slides about installation, and then we will dive into the features and some quick demonstrations to illustrate them. And then I'll talk about the future, which involves me and you, the users, and some credits, and then the session of questions. So my name is Laurent Petit, I'm French, and when I decided to accept the invitation, I thought that my biggest challenge would be to speak English, but now I think that with only 5 hours of sleep during the 30 last hours, my biggest challenge will be to not fall asleep during my own speech. So I'm fond of Clojure since the early days, and I'm involved in Counterclockwise since the first quarter of 2008. But maybe I should tell what Eclipse is, because I don't know if there are a lot of Eclipse users here. Who is using Emacs? Oh, yes. Third challenge. So Eclipse is a multi-language software development environment. It's graphical. Its primary target has been Java and the JVM. And Eclipse Foundation is claiming having millions of users. I was one of these users, and so I decided to try to do something for Clojure in Eclipse. Counterclockwise is an Eclipse extension. It's licensed under the APL, and sometimes it's written CCW for short, but I will say just Counterclockwise because telling CCW is not shorter. So, 2 slides for introducing more. Counterclockwise is an Eclipse plugin helping developers write Clojure code. Why an Eclipse plugin? And why me? So, because I want to target a large base of Java developers, and I want to make it possible for me to develop Clojure on my next paid Java project. And so I decided to do it. And there was driving force which conducting me to do this right in the first quarter of 2008, because I had a new job where I was writing Eclipse plugin, so it was something like a win-win. But I agree with Stu, it's very challenging to write IDE plugins. Yeah, maybe that's something I didn't want to give to my users, and simplicity is somewhat relative, and with Counterclockwise I'm trying to do 2 things at the same time, and sometimes difficult, but I have a challenging user base which pushes things beyond beyond the current state of the art. So first it begins with installing the plugin, and I wanted just to tell you that it's really easy to just install it and try to get it. If you already have an Eclipse installed, it's really easy. And I wanted it to be like this because even if people want to go and test and work with Clojure, the first approach will be through maybe the plugin. So it must be a good impression for them, because somehow, like it or not, it may be also an impression on the language itself. So if you have Eclipse, it's a no-brainer. parents are already very difficult for new people to grasp. Let the tool just get out of the way. And of course, the challenge is to provide an interactive, dynamic experience even within a heavy, heavy framework like Eclipse is. So now, just 2 quick slides on the history. So Eclipse was started in early 2008 by Casey Marshall. It was first named Clojure Dev, but then the name was taken by Rich. So I switched to another great name, which was suggested to me by Christophe Cran. I joined the team on October, and for personal affairs, Casey left very quickly, and I got the de facto leadership or sponsor man since then. So there is no marketing behind Counterclockwise. It's open source. It's done on it's written on free time. But some figures during the last 10 months, there has been around 2,000 views per month for the homepage from about 400 different visitors, and which are regularly revisiting the site a quarter of them every month. So, I thought about installation, so maybe I may be more precise. If you use the last version of Eclipse, which is 3.6 Helios, comes an interesting tool for discovering new plugins. So with this new version, you just hit the Help menu, Eclipse Marketplace, menu item, and then you search for Clojure, of course, not for Counterclockwise in particular. You find Counterclockwise, you install it. It's just a matter of downloading 6 megabytes of content. So now let's talk about the features. So I've split the slide into several features, and I will try to do a honest description of what works, what still needs improvements, and what is missing. And I will not tell you about all the things that are missing, but the most important one in my point of view. So the editor has already syntactic coloration, but in fact, it's not really syntactic, it's token-based, as a lot of editors which claim to be syntactic, with an exception for rainbow parents, which is a way to show how deep you are in the nestings of the parents. It's a really interesting feature that Emacs or VI also have. And around the corner is true syntactic coloration with full use of parser information, because we are more and more using a library from Christophe Cran, which he told about this morning, which is named Parsley. And when the library becomes truly incremental, it will be possible to be very fast, even in an editor. There are good parts in Counterclockwise which have been stolen from Emacs. I want to speak about structural edition commands. It's based on paredit.en. We already have almost 80% of the commands which have been ported to pure Eclipse. And a good fact about it is that totally independent of Eclipse. I've written this as an independent project, which happens just to be used by only CCW currently. We already have working job definition when you are on a Clojure var. You just have to the environment to be available in a running repo. And if it is there in the repo, if the namespace containing the var has already been loaded, it will work as expected. And we also have auto indentation, which is a feature which was long awaited by most users. It currently is very predictable because it's very simple, but it works. So now for some things which are already working, but maybe not totally or not as I would like to. There is code completion is counterclockwise. It works correctly with Clojure top-level verbs. It works for Java interrupts, but there are some impediments to it to work correctly. Currently, it works by doing a full search in the project's class path. So you can be assured that you will spot the method you're searching for, but it's really slow. So we'll try some more focused heuristics in the future. And a problem with this is that Clojure, by being functional, promotes putting the method name first and then the target. So we have little context to help the user find which method he is really looking for, because we don't even know anything generally about the types first. We have REPL interaction commands. It's stable. We have documentation hover. REPL interaction command. I'm not talking about the REPL, but about the interaction with the REPL. So we have the full set of send this piece of code to the REPL, to evaluation, send the top level, send the whole file. We have documentation hover, which is around the corner. We have a code outline, which is just a static view, a summary of what is in your editor. And there are two big missing features yet. Formatting, full source code file formatting, but somehow, since we have auto-indentation, it's not so bad. And we have some interaction with REPL commands which are missing, and I'm thinking about the macro expansion command. So maybe I will do just a quick demo of focused feature, just to see how it looks like with counterclockwise. You hear me? No. I'm not named Laurent Petit for nothing. So I didn't know Uncle Bob would make it, but I had already chosen my example, and it's the Orbit project. So I will be doing only basic stuff. I will just show you how I try to, at the same time, be user-friendly for the newcomers, especially because these newcomers will come mainly from Eclipse, being already Eclipse users. So they don't have to think, oh, it's a foreign language, and it's also a foreign editor. I don't understand what I'm doing. When I type parent, it's doing something I'm not used to. So there is a default mode which does not break the user's habit. It's less powerful, of course. So we have a strict mode, which is a mixed free guided mode, which will help you have a code which is always correctly structured. So let's take maybe this function, size by mass, and we will just be writing it in the default mode and then in the structure, and then in the strict mode. Okay, so we are in the default mode. So in the default mode, when I rewrite this function, what the editor is doing is just entering what I'm typing, nothing more. The challenge here was to be able to still have a correct parsing of the source code, even in the face of incorrect code. Okay. So this was easy. What does it look like in the strict mode? So I switch in the strict mode maybe by the mouse edit. Oh. Okay. Then when I hit, the closing parent has been added. other kinds of literals. Okay, and maybe sometimes because it's easier to add new expressions, I leave a closing parent which is not on the same line. I see no problem with that myself, but when I finished, sometimes I want to quickly reclose all this correctly. When I'm in the strict mode, the first time I hit the closing parent, I jump to the I jump to the end of the parent expression, and then I reconcile the closing parents automatically. It's something which is well known by Emacs users, of course, and do not pretend having invented anything in this area. So this was to show you that the default mode is not an impediment for new users. And I want now to show you some underused structural edition commands from the users, from the Eclipse and CCW user base. So, in fact, even in the default mode, I'll switch back to the there are a lot of commands which will already work. These commands are just not bound to regular keys, but you have to combine shortcuts. So for example, if I'm not really sure that this method is working, I will want to add a spy over the expression. So I can just use structural edition selection. Okay. This you will be able to see which keys I'm typing. So for structural edition, I will just hit a combination of keys which is well known by Java users within Eclipse, and then the up arrow will select the enclosing expression. If I continue with the up arrow, I select the enclosing, and the file. If I've been too far, I just hit the down arrow and the selection reverts. If I run the siblings, I go left or right, and when I hit the end, I go up, up, up. So now I have selected my expression, and if I am in the default mode, if I hit something, maybe, I don't know, the open parentheses, of course, it's a replacement command, but if I am in the structural edition mode, then hitting enter will just wrap the expression. When it is debugged, it's just a matter of raising the child expression over the parent. So I hit Alt rise, Alt R, and it gets out of the way. My cheat sheet. So I've shown easy wrapping, structure-based selection, rise over. Maybe one more word about split join. Sometimes it's interesting to add the requires outside the UNS because you do interactive and agile development. But then sometimes you also want to have them go back. So you can go between two selections and tell Counterclockwise to join the expression, Alt-J, for example, or you can do the opposite, you can split the expression. That's right. Okay. So back to the set of features. Now I will talk about an easy feature because project management feature is something which is done correctly by IDEs like IntelliJ and NetBeans or Eclipse. So here the challenge is not to try to reinvent the wheel and to use what is already present. So that's what I have done, and it's easy to do multi-project work within Counterclockwise because the class path is inherited by the defaults of Eclipse. So when you start a new REPL, you inherit everything which is in jars, which is in external jars, or which in within other projects which are declared to be depended upon by your project. Yeah, that's it. Now something more interesting, it's about interactive dev features. So we already have a REPL, which currently is based on the Java nature. It's an enhancement of the Java nature. So the REPL is working with plain old Java project pretty well. But it is somehow limited in scope because it forces a project to start with Clojure.main or the contrib REPL ln library. So it forces you to have, it injects a main class, which is a REPL class. So it's currently a severe limitation of the released Counterclockwise version. Because by doing so, we cannot work correctly with other kinds of projects, WTP, GWT, Eclipse project development, so the development of Counterclockwise itself. And it's also limited in scope because really currently we are cheating. We are using the plain old Java console within Eclipse and its features of accepting user commands, and so it's just connected to input-output. So we don't have plain text edition. But I will not tell that to you if I had not something in my bag. And indeed, there is a brand new REPL which is around the corner. So if you download Counterclockwise today or tomorrow, you won't see this, but I will show you when I go to the demo. So this is not my work, it's based on Chas, Emeric, and REPL client-server library, which is a new REPL which is intended to be used by most IDEs in the future. And Chas Emeric gracefully worked on the port and the integration of this client-server library within Counterclockwise. It will enable us, if you know Clojure, it will enable what Clojure already has in this area, to be short. But for the people we do not know, I will give you some more detail. So basically, you will be able to connect to any running JVM. It does not have to be launched from within Eclipse. So currently, you just tell the server on the port, and it connects to it. The very interesting thing is that it will be able to work with any kind of project. We will be orthogonal with this notion. We will not have to build new wrappers for launching configurations over every new kind of project which happens to work on the JVM. So this is really, really interesting. And it has already a richer set of features, and I'm currently working on porting more with Chas. In fact, we were sharing the same code as the editor, so we have colors, structural edition, code completion is in progress, navigation commands, etc. The logs will be colorized, the history of what you have typed and what have been returned back by the server. We will have the ability, of course, to recall previously entered commands. And the command area is a true multi-line with auto-indentation. You can go to the first line if you've made a mistake. It's really just a text area, but okay. So I will do a quick demo for showing interactivity. It will not be really impressive. It's just to show you how it will look like in the next release of Counterclockwise. Hello world. So I tell the project to run within a new JVM and to load the file which is selected. still needs some work, but it's already working for the basic use cases. So for example, I can code hello, I can go to the next line, and say ground, for example. And if I hit Control Enter, and I have an exception because I should have placed a namespace. Just to change a little bit. Okay. So that's it. All the commands will work, of course. So if I change the definition of hello, I can send it back, and then it works again. Great. Oh yes, something I haven't spoken about in the previous slides. It's the namespace browser. It's really an interesting feature, and I wouldn't like you to miss it. It's there. You have the outline. I've spoken about it. It's a static view of what you have in the editor. It's interesting, but here it's a dynamic view of what is loaded in the repo. It's organized by namespaces, and you can do some interesting stuff. You have documentation hover. You can double-click to go directly to the definition in the editor, and you can find with regular expression like things. For example, I know I want to play with namespaces, and I know it starts with NS, and then I have a filtered view of where the functions starting with NS are. It also works by searching inside the documentation. Okay. That's okay. So a few more words on other features. We have already integration with the debugger, thanks to Christophe Grant, who provided the code to place breakpoints. Currently, it just leverages the classic Eclipse integration debugger. Still a bit unstable, needs more work, but already working if you want to go step by step in your code. So, let's talk about the future. So, there are some things I'm working currently, by night, so the future. The editor will quickly have jump to definition for Java, documentation hover, both Java and Clojure, hopefully, and sometimes true syntax-based coloration, especially for locals, so that you know that you're overriding some global or not when you're writing. Project management, I told about it, and the REPL, I also told about it in length. There are some futures I think about when I'm under the shore, so don't expect them to be in the next release, but pretty soon I hope. Refactoring features, because T. Crayford has started an interesting Clojure refactoring project. It's totally independent of the IDE, but it's also reusable in any IDE, even if I've seen some Emacs dependencies, but I hope there are only dev dependencies. And beyond this project, I also hope to provide bidirectional Java Clojure refactorings. I mean, if you're in the Java editor and you change the name of a method, then I can, there are hooks in Eclipse to say, hey, Java method changing, and I change the name in the relevant Clojure files. Yes, it seems to be possible. We'll see. And I also intend to try to integrate with Georgia Hat's Clojure debugging tools, which is very impressive from within Emacs. I hope that it will be also impressive from within Eclipse. And there are also features I'm just dreaming about, because we're not just monkeys. So basically, the most probable it will be the first. That is more running over what is currently given as a feedback by the compiler. So, for example, helping enforcing conventions, detect potential bugs, help people write idiomatic Clojure code, but it's not a hurry for me because there is a Clojure in Clojure project which may be a game changer in this area. So I'll go slow and see what is coming, and hopefully user suggestions by leveraging some ways to analyze their habits through heuristics. And the hard part is not to be a failure in this area as it has been for other graphical editors. So I will try to be non-invasive. Okay, so now this is not about features, it's a miscellaneous set of things I would like to be doing in the future. I intend to introduce contributor agreement because the project is beginning to grow, and to protect the project source code itself, and also to protect a little bit my interest in being the sponsor and still being able to manipulate the project as a whole. I will base something on what Rich has done for Clojure. So I intend to just copy and paste the Clojure contributor agreement and switch the names. So that's in the pipe. Switch to semantic versioning. That's just for the users because currently it's just a counter and it's not easy to see if there is a risk to break things by updating. CCW started by being mostly written in Java. It was not really interesting. So slowly we are leaning towards more and more CCW parts written in Clojure, and we are suffering from not being able to have the same dynamic interactivity we are offering to our users. So the REPL integration will also be the occasion to embed a REPL within inside Eclipse. So I will not have to start an Eclipse, which is a target of test, but I will test inside the running Eclipse. And we also intend to open the door to more contributors, either devs or users. Devs, because currently it's not that easy to start from scratch with the source code base. There are a lot of stuff that are not written, so I've taken the points of technomancy in this area. And also users. We will open a beta update site, and we of course have in mind how we could open the plugin to users so that they can provide and experiment with contributions for enhancing CCW. For example, we will probably open the Clojure grammar so that they can do some stuff we haven't even thought about yet. Okay. But I'm speaking about counterclockwise in the beginning, and you could think it's a sole single-person effort, while it is not. So I will give some credits. Credits because it's something we share with contributors. So to name just a few, Chas Emmerich recently, but also Christophe Grand, Casey Marshall, Stéphane Moustresser. Oh. It's also about reuse. Coterac, Vim Clojure provided some pieces of code for the code completion. I've borrowed the Persley source code parser from Christophe Grand, which is the building block of the structural edition mode. I've been working with AAV on Clojure OSGI, and it's a project which is really quickly growing and which is trying to give a real Clojure and OSGI story. And it's really interesting. And I've changed recently the way the dependencies are done within the multiple counterclockwise plugins by using it, and it's working pretty well. And also the brand new NREPL library, of course. So credits about sharing, about reusing, and also about giving back. So currently, I've started from scratch the parody.clg, which is a port of parody.el. It's pure Clojure, it has few dependencies. It's just Clojure, Clojure contrib, and Parsley. And Parsley is just a project with a dependency on Clojure. So it's a really short library, and it can be used outside Eclipse. It's already used by Clojure refactorings, by the way. And I'm also currently working on the Clojure grammars, and I have had some person which asked to make it an XML project, and it's on its way. But don't rush to him, please, because it's an intermediate state, and I'm really, really not happy with how the Clojure grammar is written currently. It just happens to work. Okay, so this slide is more for the people which will borrow the presentation from the internet. And now if you have some question, please speak slowly so I can understand them. Thanks.